All right. Hello, everyone. This is Carlos, and I would like to welcome everyone to another edition of the Speaking Bluntly podcast. This is Carlos, your host, and I'm here with co host Kim. And Kim is the editor in chief of the Cannabis Sessions magazine and also Harvest Plume magazine. And I'm very excited today on today's podcast. We're actually live streaming on the main Rogue News YouTube channel platform. So I want to welcome all of the Rogue News subscribers. And we have a very special guest today. We have Jane Grissom, and she's going to be introducing Cheyenne, who is the manager of the Farmhouse Dispensary that's located in Shawnee, Oklahoma. So Kim and Jane, welcome to the Speaking Bluntly podcast.
Hey there. Good to see you again and meet you.
Yeah, absolutely. So it's Friday. It's always a fun day to jump on a podcast and do a live stream and talk about everything that's happening in the cannabis industry. And I thought it was also a good time to feature some businesses that are actually out there making a difference for the medical cannabis market. So Kim, I'm going to turn it over to you, and we're going to go jump right into it with our discussion with Cheyenne and Jane in Oklahoma.
Awesome. Well, first of all, what part of Oklahoma are you guys in?
We're really pretty central, a little bit east of Oklahoma City, not far
Okay.
east of Oklahoma City.
Okay, because it seems like there are only two, Tulsa and Oklahoma City.
Pretty much it.
So how did you guys get involved in the medical cannabis industry?
Well, when our family had been in the John Deere business for 50 plus years, and we sold the business in 2018. And it was right after the bill passed, and my husband was just right on it. He just, wanted to get right into it. And he's got a degree in agriculture from Oklahoma State and has always worked with agriculture and farming and planting and all of that. So this has really been fun for him.
So yeah, it's a nice transition.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Stuck with the same color though. Green.
It's a good color.
Money's green too.
That's true. That's very true.
So how did you get started in it? So you identified it and said, what a great opportunity, but then how did you jump board onto this?
That's a good question. When my husband expressed his real desire to get in, I just was really tentative. I wanted to make sure that if it's going to be a medical business, I wanted it to be high end, and I wanted to make sure that we didn't just look like a head shop. And so we went to Denver, and we've also been to Oregon and Washington State looking at dispensaries, but we went specifically to Denver to learn about the industry a little bit more, and we found a partner there, someone who has well-established connections and processes and in the industry. And so we partnered with them, and they have been, just great in guiding us so that we don't make mistakes that others are making or they made. So.
Oh yeah. And it seems like no matter how much you prepare for it, or you have someone who's guiding you through the process, you're still going to find something, you're still going to stumble on it or in it.
Yes.
Something. Yeah.
Definitely.
So, okay. So then what's so special about Farmhouse?
That is also a great question. We are very special, and we're so proud of what we've created. Cheyenne, who is you need to lean in, my dispensary marketing and retail manager. She does a fantastic job of presenting our brand to the community and beyond. But our biggest goal was to not, like I mentioned, not look like just a head shop. And we actually found a 6,000 square foot building that was just open. And so we built out the inside, and we've got a really large space. So we've got a really nice, it's like a cosmetic counter at Dillard's or Nordstrom's. It's very bright and light, and we've got flowers and abstract art. And the reason we wanted to do that is because medical marijuana has such great medicinal properties, but a lot of older people are afraid. And so we wanted to make sure the environment was inviting. Anybody of any age can feel welcome to come in within the rules of the law. But we have a lot of elderly patients, and they come in and they just love it. And we have, because of our space, we have an education room. In fact, that's where Cheyenne and I are right now. You can see the chairs are set up. We have two cultivation classes tomorrow with the founder of American Cannabis Company and also the developer of Soham Soils. So we're really excited. Both classes filled up immediately. And so we're very high into education. The glass behind me is you can see into our clone room. So we have our clones on display for customers from either side, from the dispensary side or the classroom side.
That is awesome.
Yeah.
I think some of that, going back to how you're branding, and there's so many, I'm in Boulder. And so, of course, I have access to a lot of different dispensaries, and they all have their different themes and feels. And as you're describing yours, I'm thinking, okay, I got it. I'm kind of picking from some other brands that I know, but at the same time, I can tell it's totally unique. But I love the fact that you have that, literally the visual access to the grow room, because that's what people need to see is it's a plant.
Right.
Yeah.
Just to help remove the stigma and to remind people that this is an all natural healing plant, entourage effect and more. And look at it right behind. That's awesome. I love it.
Yeah, and I want to applaud your efforts as well, because I think it's very important that as we evolve and we grow as this industry, what you're doing there to educate patients in regards to medical cannabis. Let's face it, there's still a lot of play in there in terms of getting people educated as far as how cannabis works. And to me, like, the ultimate profession is that, let's face it, we're involving people's health. So whether they're taking prescription medications or some counter effects, some things potentially can happen, with cannabis. There's some people who, like myself, are THC sensitive. I think it's very important to educate people. And by having the education center there, and I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe you also help with patients to obtain their patient license as well. Is that correct?
That's correct.
We've had some patient drives in the past and possibly in the future.
Yeah, that's terrific. And to me, that's the level in terms of the medicinal side of it and the medicinal practices of cannabis industry. And you're absolutely right. And as far as other states and the recreational side of it, it may look and feel a little bit different, which I have no opposition against. That's their thing. That's the culture. That's how they brand their companies and they do things. But in terms of attracting pharmacists or attracting doctors to learn more about medical cannabis by having that type of facility where you're educating, you're training, I think that's the plateau that I'd like to see this industry, continue to grow and evolve. So with that being said, Cheyenne and Jane, why don't you talk a little bit around some of your products that you have there in your dispensary, and how's that going for you?
I'm going to let Cheyenne do this because she does an excellent job of identifying the right product.
Well, we do. We have our own flower. We have our grow, and we're getting to the point where we're almost self-sufficient on mainly carrying our own flower primarily. We do have to supplement here and there just to have enough strains for our customers, but we do really well with edibles. Even, you spoke some about being THC sensitive. Jane and I both, I think, not to speak for her, but we both have struggled so much with finding dosages that are actually right. I've never loved feeling out of body or any of the euphoria part of it, but there are a lot of medical benefits that I would love to receive. So even just our bud tenders, and with the classes that we've had, I've learned so much about dosages for myself. So we do so well with even like microdose, different kinds of edibles and tinctures. We do really, really well with the tinctures, especially for, seems like, the kind of older crowd. Honestly, I feel like our main demographic is 50 plus. I mean, we really have, that's kind of our market here.
And we have a number of 80 plus patients who come in, and they're very comfortable coming in, and
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, and again, Cheyenne mentioned our bud tenders. I just cannot express how grateful I am for the people that we hire. They are so good, and they are self-motivated, and they self-educate, and they're so curious and so desiring to help people. So it's great when someone comes in and they're new and they're confused and they just describe their symptoms, and our bud tenders can talk through different things and ask the right questions, and you know, we've sort of gone with the start low and go slow.
Yeah.
So we always tell people that, and we've got journals they can buy so they can kind of track their experience and determine the products that they like or dislike, and a series of books from a PhD who writes about cannabis, medical cannabis. So we try to provide people with a lot of information and access. We run YouTube videos on cannabis, other, you know, YouTube videos, but a lot of access, multimedia for patients.
Right, and we do have a couple of comments I just want to share, and this is probably from earlier. So, Run and Return says nothing runs like a deer. So, Jane, I think that's alluding to yours and Vic's prior history of those. And then also, I want to welcome John, and John. I'm not even going to attempt to pronounce your last name, but welcome from West Hollywood, California. So, thank you for tuning in to our live stream on YouTube, and I know that our Facebook followers or Twitter and Periscope listeners are also tuning in. So yeah, I think I completely agree in terms of the product mix. I've visited your dispensary at least on 2 occasions, and just the atmosphere is very professional from the moment that you walk in. You have somebody there greeting to kind of help people navigate through, and then your product selection there, it's very much a customer oriented type experience that you obtain there at Farmhouse. So hats off to you. And Kim, I've been doing a lot of talking, so I'm going to turn it over to you if you have any follow-up questions.
I you know, since you're here, so of course let's give you guys great kudos. But what I absolutely love is in this industry, as more and more of the mature dispensaries are opening up, that they become almost a beacon for people to feel welcome and to come to learn more about your product, but also about how to medicate yourself. And I'm so proud about that keeps it, because if you saw any of this stuff 10 years ago, you know, you'd go running away because they couldn't afford any type of nice facility, a 6,000 square foot facility, and it's all open, an open concept. You know,
well, we hadn't really covered it yet, but we actually do processing too. We make our own moon rocks, we do our own pre-rolls, and that's a big part of our products that we hadn't really talked about. We actually won the Cowboy Cup for our pre-roll. Rocket roll, yeah.
I was thinking, you know, the last time I took some type of a tour, I was in Oregon, and it was at the at Tillamook. And I was thinking, you know, that's what's so cool about dispensaries now, and you having your concept is that people can actually watch the edibles being processed, being made, being, you know, that's just all these really cool things. And then like Willy Wonka pops out the everlasting gobstopper at the end.
And I can tell you this much, you know, as far as the Cowboy Cup and winning the product, you don't have to give away like the secrets to it, but why don't you share what product actually won you some accolades at the Cowboy Cup?
Yeah, it was a pre-roll that was from our Girl Scout cookie that we had grown, and then it was rolled in distillate, and then again rolled in Girl Scout kief. So it was a pretty high dosage, probably a little over mine and Jane's.
But you know, that's the stuff.
We won with it, so we were so proud.
Very exciting.
Yeah. How's the community? Because you're in Shawnee, Oklahoma, right? So it's not Tulsa, it's not Oklahoma City. You know, most people may not even have heard of Shawnee, right? So how has the local community been receptive to a medical cannabis dispensary in their community?
Surprisingly, very positive. I mean, there are probably little pockets of you know, opposition, but I was nervous when I had to go down to city zoning and planning, and I thought, oh gosh, they're going to be, oh, you're one of those people. And they were great and helpful. And we had a break-in in a grow cube in September, and the police were right on it, and they were wonderful. We took them on a tour of the facility. They were real impressed. But they've been, they're willing to come and kind of keep an eye on things. And so the community, I think, overall has been great. And even the other businesses that are like ours, for the most part, we all just try to, bounce off of each other and encourage each other. So.
Yeah, and that's a great thing in the community, because just starting off, and it's a very ginger and tender time, and to see how much support that you're actually receiving, and then how much, we already know this, you end up giving back to the community. So the cycle's already begun.
Yeah.
And that's awesome. Which, by the way, we need to know more about when you're involved in community stuff.
Pardon me?
We need to know more about when you're involved in community things.
Yes, well, we're really excited. We are, we've done some things over the winter. Cheyenne had organized a canned food drive that we just had tons of canned goods. And that all went to a local mission. And then she did a toy drive, and one of the local postal carriers coordinated it and delivered the toys to children. But we are just announcing today our inaugural Cannabis Charity Cup Golf Scramble in May. And we are just going to have a blast. We've got great hole sponsors and partners, and it's just going to be a really fun day. And all of the proceeds will go to local youth and family services of Shawnee, a place that provides temporary housing and support for families in crisis. So
please make sure that you send me that information. I can put it in the magazines or social media.
You have a listener that's plugging your site address as well.
Oh, nice.
You're winning when they're posting the address to your dispensary. That's a clear and obvious sign, right? Like if I had people like during our live stream, like sharing how to subscribe to Rogue 420 or the website, I'd be winning. And you have that on your first podcast. I'm a little bit envious at this point, Diane and Jane.
I really, honestly, but I wish I could take my laptop and take it on a tour, because what you're seeing in the classroom is pretty dull compared to, in Carlos, we've got a lot of really brilliant, colorful, abstract art and rugs and florals and things. So it's really sort of, I always say it's very shishi.
Very shishi. I love that. And for our listeners, before we wrap the session up, why don't you share your website address, share your social media handles, and how people can connect with you guys.
Oh, and your store hours.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Oh, thanks. I'll let you.
We're open Monday through Friday from 10 to 7 and Saturday from 10 to 5. We're closed on Sundays. Our website is farmhouseok.com, and that's PHARN. Our Instagram, which is what I post on most often, is Farmhouse OK, again, PHARN. We also have a Leafly that we have our full menu listed. You can go on and order stuff and pick it up in store, so you're not having to wait in lines, even though usually we don't really have a lot of lines, but
we have multiple, but
yeah, we're usually pretty staffed up.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
No, I was going to say, I get compliments on your logo, my hat that I have.
Oh.
Yeah. And I was going to wear it today, but I know sometimes when I wear a hat on podcasts, I feel like it's because I'm lazy and like I just threw on a hat just to do one, or else I'd have it on now. But yeah, so your logo, but continue. And you're very active on Instagram. I see your post, everything that's associated there. So
I'm going to follow you guys.
Yeah, absolutely.
awesome.
Yeah, I post stuff pretty much daily, and we have daily specials that I make a calendar every month and post the calendar so you can see what's going on each day. And
we pass out hundreds of calendars.
Yes,
Everybody wants a calendar.
Very cool.
People
Very
really
cool.
love it. Yeah.
Yep. And I also want to make sure to plug and thank our podcast sponsors of our show. So again, want to thank the Cannabis Sessions magazines for sponsoring the Speaking Bluntly podcast. and also Harvest and Plume, the Harvest and Plume magazine. So make sure to go check out those sites. And Kim, I'm going to let you have any type of closing comments.
I'm thrilled to meet you guys. This is so exciting. Send your information so that we can share it, because of course our community is all about sharing and maintaining elevated conversations. So please, let's make sure that we follow and like and share each other's information. In terms of me, well, tomorrow's drop day. So I'm going to be up all night making sure the magazines are in viewing order, and get excited because we're celebrating the 3 things in February, and that's Black History, Women's History, and Marijuana Awareness. So we have a nice representation of women-owned cannabis businesses in the cannabis sessions. So check that out, and we're looking forward to being involved, partnering, collaborating with more brands such as Farmhouse.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
We're
Yep.
happy to be here. Nice
Yes.
talking to you.
Yeah, Jane and Cheyenne, thank you so much for being our guest today. And again, for our listeners, please do us a favor. Go to farmhouseok.com. Check out their site. If you happen to get into Oklahoma, make the little bit of extra trip. It's not that far to Shawnee. Check out their dispensary. And then also don't forget, make sure to show some appreciation for our show sponsors, the Cannabis Sessions, which again is their magazine, and the Harvest and Plume. And while you're there, do us a favor. Don't forget, go over to rogue420.net, which is the premier site to find out everything related to hemp, cannabis, investment, medical information that's listed as well. And make sure you like, share, and subscribe. Sharing is caring, and that's sharing our live stream. So we appreciate you doing that. And with that being said, I think that wraps up another special session of the Speaking Bluntly podcast. So Kim, Cheyenne, and Jane, thank you all so much for a great show.
Thank you.
Take care, guys.
All right. Enjoy your weekend. Take care.
You too.
Bye-bye.